Patriots, it's time to face the harsh reality of South Africa's foreign policy mess. South Africa finds itself in more than hot water with the Trump administration, as I warned would happen months ago. I did call it. The Trump administration would not suffer fools like Cyril and his team, nor would they tolerate continual disloyalty to the West and American policy. Crime-infested, socialist experiment gone horribly wrong. Unemployment, corruption, load shedding. I'm staying here to fight for South Africa. Let's save South Africa. Let me break down why we're in this situation. Geopolitics and international trade are transactional. It's business. It's simple as that. Buy, sell, trade. What do you get? What do they get? And the question we should all ask is, what do we, South Africa, get in return when we align with certain nations? For years, the ANC has consistently distanced itself from the West, particularly the United States. Voted against the United States and the United Nations, poked America and the West in the eye, non-stop. South Africa refused to condemn Russia's unprovoked attack on Ukraine, and yet we took Israel to the ICJ. And yesterday, South Africa demanded Taiwan close its embassy in South Africa. Taiwan, a sovereign and democratic nation that China is threatening to invade. But fine, if that's the ANC's chosen foreign policy, they need to own it. But what they cannot do is act surprised when the United States turns its back on us. AGOA is at risk. PEPFAR could be removed altogether. And if we continue down this path, we will face devastating tariffs, if they haven't happened already. Trump was willing to slap 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada. What do you think he'll do to us? And Mexico and Canada backed right down. What the ANC found out the hard way this week is that you can't play both sides. The Trump administration, or any serious global power, is not going to take the ANC's shit anymore. And as for Commie Gwede's threat over mineral exports, that's a fool's game. Trump and the West don't need us. They can get minerals and rare earths from elsewhere, including from Alaska, and I believe they've discovered them in Alabama and Arkansas. And it's not a call for South Africa to necessarily align with the US. Not necessarily. If we're willing to forego our trade privileges with the US and our billions in aid for HIV relief, then we have to ask the question, what is South Africa gaining from our alliance with Russia, Iran, and China, the world's undemocratic dictators? And more importantly, what is the ANC gaining from these alliances? What's going into Cyril and his merry men's pockets that you don't know about? Chinese companies get preferential mining contracts in South Africa and have an unfettered access to our market. And as of the latest figures, China exported double the goods to us that we exported to them. A massive trade deficit for South Africa. We are on the losing side of that trade. Unless, of course, the ANC is stealing. Cyril, get back on your plane as you did last year and fly back to Beijing and demand South Africans get more from this deal. But, we know Cyril's not a businessman and never was, so maybe send a proper businessman like Gayton McKenzie, who will be tough and get a way better deal for us. What about Russia? Russia. Last year, Russia invested around $1.5 billion in South Africa, while South Africa invested $5 billion in Russia. How's that a fair deal? Unless the ANC is stealing. Iran. We took their number one enemy, Israel, to the ICJ, and yet we allow Iranian vessels to dock at our ports. Iran, a backward, theocratic regime that treats women like animals. Iran. The common thread here is clear. These countries are the ANC's old friends. Russia and Iran has secretly funded the ANC for years. Now, they may be the ANC friends, but if they're going to be ours as South Africans, they better become more friendly and bearing gifts, and valuable ones too, and stop putting money into the ANC's pockets. The ANC's foreign policy isn't about what's best for South Africa, as we all know. It's about benefiting the ANC and their historical allies. But South Africans aren't stupid. We see what's happening. So here's the question no one is asking. What do we, the people of South Africa actually gain from these alliances? What does South Africa need? What puts South Africa first? Richard Nixon once said that the best foreign policy is a strong domestic one. Only by getting our house in order can we claim any credibility on the world stage. Right now, under the ANC, we have an unemployment rate worse than Gaza or the Congo, thanks to the ANC. It's not only shameful in a country as rich as ours, it's disgusting and a complete disgrace. Cyril and the ANC, you're a disgrace. The Congo is mud and death, and we should not be there, and we should never have been there in the first place. Our good men and women of the South African National Defence Force are dying in a proxy war that has nothing to do with South Africa and will take a long, long time to solve. And they're probably just up there defending ANC mining interests. And if we tackle Rwanda, they will kick the SANDF's ass. They have a proper army, and ours has been destroyed by ANC cadres. Cyril, get a grip and bring our troops home now. We shouldn't be up there. South Africa's foreign policy should be about putting this country first, putting our people first, and not playing useless proxy games on the world stage. We don't have the resources or the time for that. Spend the money here in South Africa. If we want to align with the East, then fine. But let's make sure we're getting something valuable in return. We are not here as South Africans to be pawns in a political chess game. Every foreign relationship must be transactional, like business, and work for us. It's time for the ANC government and the GNU to face this reality and act on it. Stop playing checkers and play chess like everyone else. Your stupidity is tantamount and obvious. Stop playing political games and stop being ANC first. Put South Africa first.